Hi guys, welcome to another episode of TVTalk with Natasha and Kim. I am Natasha, and say hello, Kim.
Hi, everybody.
We are on episode 17.2, and we will be going over the last two episodes of the following and the last two episodes of Teen Wolf, which were jam-packed. A lot of stuff happened in these two episodes for each show. We got a lot to talk about.
We kind of do. A lot of stuff did happen, especially with Teen Wolf, but let's start off with the following, I think.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the following.
There is. I think, not this last episode, but the episode before was more productive than this past episode.
Are you serious? There was a major turning point with Mike.
Yeah, I know, but that was at the very end. But okay, let's go over some.
Let's backtrack here.
Let's go over some major points. So Luke gets caught. All right. Luke's face hits Mike's fist repeatedly.
Repeatedly, yes.
I like when Mike says
and with the wood stick.
Yeah, Mike kept saying he was okay, but he was not okay, and neither was Luke's face. Yeah, so that happened, and as a result, Luke got caught. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then Lily went a little crazy about that. She did not like that. But I think, didn't she think that he was shot, so he was dead, but he didn't?
Yeah, he really wasn't dead, and she freaked out, and Joe called her a drama queen, and she kind of was, but at the same time, he couldn't blame her because she pretty much lost the majority of her family in one fell swoop because of Ryan.
Yeah,
she brought it on herself because you know why? Because she brought Joe in the picture.
Right, and so Joe and Mandy and Emma abandoned her. That's another thing. They abandoned her, and they're going off on their own. Do I detect a slight chemistry? Now I'm talking about not this episode, but the episode before between Mike and Max. I don't know. I kind of noticed it when they were interacting with each other before. But it was this episode a little bit because he pretty much went a little ape when Luke was trying to goad her. And in this episode, he was very concerned about finding her, as well as Ryan, before the huntsman got to her. But let's get back to episode 6, which was Fly Away. So, and now Mike believes Ryan is alive. That is another big thing that happened. I mean, Ryan is alive. Joe is alive. That's another thing that happens. And he figures out that there's got to be a mole in the FBI. So that's another big point from that particular episode.
And Joe and Ryan actually see each other for 2 seconds before Joe bounces from the house.
That's true. So he gets that validation there. And so Lily can touch Mark, but nobody else can. Did you notice that at the end when he was comforting her when she went crazy and she went up to hug him? I was like, wow, Lily can touch him.
That's, you know what? I didn't even realize that. I think he was kind of freaked out a little bit, but that's his mom versus Emma, which is someone he's attracted to. I don't know. Maybe Lily, since she raised him, she's the only one that can touch him. He did mention not without my permission, so maybe she has his permission. So.
I found that interesting, but those are just the major points that happened. So, what did you find interesting about this episode, or what did you like the most? I would say.
Ooh, I thought it was very interesting how Luke was in total denial that Giselle was dead. In fact, he had her on the bed talking to her like she was alive. That was a little kooky. And what happened to Jamal, which was the other brother? Was he still in the trunk? I mean,
I left him in there.
Yeah, he just left the brother in there, literally a brother. Let's be for real. And just Lily just freaked out about Giselle, not so much about Jamal, and was like, "Well, it's your fault, Luke, even though you sent just the two of them to get Giselle." Just saying. And you tried to manipulate Joe when he told you not to manipulate him. You drugged him. That pissed him off. So you know what? He bounced.
He did. That pretty much sums it up. I mean, it didn't surprise me with Luke because he's crazy.
Well, yeah.
Um, and but you can tell like there, I don't know, you could tell he was kind of emotional about her to begin with, so it didn't really like
Yeah,
surprise me, but
they had a little something going, and you weren't quite
right.
sure what it was, but yeah.
It surprised me though that Lily like turned around and just blamed Luke. That was interesting to me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's just the way that she dealt with her hurt or what, but she turned around and blamed him. Like Luke and Lily's relationship is odd to me. There's
Hmm.
he gets weird about Joe. I don't know. I don't want to know any more about the relationship. I feel like I just don't show me. It's like fine. I don't
Well,
need to know anymore.
I feel like it was like Giselle, Luke, and Mark are like her favorites, and it was telling to me at least. She loved her kids, but she had her favorites. I mean, she trusted Luke and Mark with a lot of stuff, as well as Giselle. Not the other kids so much. Yeah, the two brothers were supposed to guard Joe. Well, they didn't really get a chance to do that because they're both dead by the hands of Ryan, no less. And Mike definitely had some resolving issues, especially from last season. He got beat up pretty bad by Joe's call. That was very damaging. He was trying to protect Claire and little Joey and like their location. And so yeah, he's got a lot of damage. And what happened with Deborah last season. So Mike is trying to deal with his own stuff, and you got a little bit more into it this past episode. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a good segue into the next episode that just happened.
Oh my
'Cause
gosh.
that's where you see more of Mike. That's where you see more of Mike and what he's dealing with. In fact, at one point he says he's leaving because he's just not mentally right, and I applaud Mike for realizing that because that's something Ryan has yet to realize that he's just not right. But so Mike tries to leave, but then Max gets kidnapped as a revenge. Lily's part of Lily's revenge for them taking her son. So you've got that aspect going on there, and then you've got where Joe and Mandy and Emma end up at this cult. And I think this is why the episode kind of lagged for me because I just don't. I know there's something about cults that I'm just like, and I don't know. I didn't really like that whole thing. It just seemed like Joe would not want to be around something like that.
I just think it's very temporary for him. He needed a place to go, and what better place to hide himself than in a cult? Like, if Joe was on the run, like, he would try and start his own cult again versus hiding within a cult. So that was a little bit smart on his part, and he's definitely trying to get, knowledge about the cult itself, like how it works, and he's definitely being very charming to the deacon wife, Julia, and Micah, the leader, is a little bit kooky. Played by, I think it's Jake Weber. He was on the show Medium. So, and he has been in roles where he plays like a jerk and like a weirdo, and he definitely plays it very well. I mean, that's seriously creepy when you're having two teenage girls body paint themselves naked in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, well, cults are creepy to begin
Well,
with.
yeah, they're just creepy to begin with, yeah.
That cult is really creepy. And his wife is kind of creepy, too, where she's all like, I'm your champion. I'm like, Emma's going to stab her champion in the face.
Well, look what happened with Emma at the end of the episode. I mean,
Yeah.
she was on check. Like, they pretty much checked Emma.
I think Emma's the type of person that will get revenge. Like, I can see Emma making every single one of those people pay in a bad way.
I for a second, I was like, no, she can't go out like that. Like, they cannot have her go out like that. Like, the writers, that would be a serious disservice, but I'm glad that she's just unconscious for the moment. And there's definitely going to be something later on, hopefully, between her and Julia, her and whoever, because she is on the warpath now. Like, it was it was bad enough with Lily and her crazy family, but at least they didn't really try and physically harm her, at least not yet. I think they were going to eventually do it, but for the time being, they were not going to. So, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There was like a ritual. I don't know that they intended on harming her, or they were just. They didn't really explain it.
Yeah, I think they were trying to like set the tone, like don't try anything. Although Joe's gonna try something anyway. I mean, let's be for real.
Yeah, I don't know. A part of me just like hopes that this whole storyline does not last for any large length of time because I'm already
True.
annoyed by the whole thing. And then we see the Huntsman, which is another serial killer that is abducted Max.
And
And
I was very disturbed by the fact that his kid was in on it and he enjoyed himself.
yeah, well, I mean that's how his kid was raised, and I'm glad that they kind of put that little kid in his place. I mean, just stop that now. Um, you
No,
know,
it's not going to be stopped now because now Ryan has another enemy. I mean, he shot his dad. Years later, it's going to come back to haunt him. I mean, let's be for real.
right?
Like,
I get it.
what can they really do to the son other than keep him in a mental institution? But for how long?
Yeah, there really should be a test for sociopaths, and so that we can just weed them out. I don't know. What do you do? What do you do if your kid tests as a sociopath? I mean, you can't just kill a child. So it's a hard thing. And who knows?
And the wife
Had
has
her
no
head in the
clue,
sand.
and
She had a clue.
she had to have known something. I mean, the way that her kid was acting, yeah. And just he has a thing for tattoos and for hunting people.
Yeah, it was crazy. But
It's a little bit
Max got
crazy.
away because she's a cop and she got away. And then they kind
But
of
she
found
almost
her.
got herself shot and Mike. I mean, really?
Well, I mean, how would he had a freaking rifle, like a hunting
They had
rifle
to
with
have
the
known
night
that,
goggles?
really. You're like, I'm here, and you're standing up within shooting range.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if she knew he was out there, but you don't know. I don't know, because I don't know how I would react in a situation like that. So I mean, thank God Ryan was there. The dogs were worthless. I don't
Yeah.
understand that at all. But I
Well,
mean,
actually, in a way, they were useful because he managed to get some kind of a location in order to shoot the huntsman.
but he was not in the same place as the dogs. They were in different. He went off. Remember, they went straight, and he went off in the other direction. So, um, I just
Wow.
it
That's
whatever. I mean,
unfortunate.
yeah, she got
That's giving the dogs a bad rap. I'm sorry.
she
They're
was
better than that.
yeah she was saved, and that was that. So she
Yeah.
did mention that she after not this episode but the previous episode she was suspended. So I mean, Ryan, you're getting people suspended left and right. You're getting people in trouble with the FBI. Let's play it smart now, please. So we don't ruin
Well,
her career.
I just feel really bad for Mike because he was not getting along with his dad because his dad was not understanding what he was going through, and he's never going to get to talk to his dad ever again because of what Willy did. And now Mike tried to get away from thinking along the same lines as Ryan, but now he has pretty much no choice because Lily killed a family member of his. It's on. Like
Yeah, no,
it's not even like a loved one, like someone like your wife or whatever. It was your dad.
yeah, I had started the episode on my notes and I wrote poor Mike, and then I ended my notes with the same thing, poor Mike. So Mike had a rough episode.
Yeah, Mike
Um,
definitely had a rough episode.
and so
And
yeah,
kudos to Sean Ashmore because that had to be rough.
yeah. So his father died at the end, which is really sad, and now we're gonna see the repercussions of that. I mean, if I was
Hmm.
Ryan, I would literally take Max and put her on a plane to go see my sister and be done with it because that's what needs to happen. Um, they
Although, I mean, look what happened last season when the sister got kidnapped.
Exactly. That's why she needs to go. And I think she's like off somewhere. He doesn't know where she is. I'm like, put her on a plane and be like, go. And I don't even want to know where you're going. And just because, I mean, Max is a target. she's a target. That's just the way it is now. And
Yeah.
if they don't start working with the FBI, it's going to get gruesome.
Well, I mean, the FBI has a leak, so what are you gonna do?
Got to weed them out.
I wonder how they're gonna figure that out because Vendez is totally clueless.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, I just feel like the FBI isn't that stupid, but who knows?
Example, season 1.
Yeah, that's true. Okay,
You would think that they would have improved a little bit, but no. Let's get back to Teen Wolf.
yeah, let's move on to Teen Wolf. So, well, 2 episodes with that too.
The first one is Echo House. Styles checked himself into a mental house, and the first night that he's there, someone commits suicide.
Yeah,
I would be wanting to leave right then and there. I'm like, your house is supposed to help people, or, you know, at least, where's the medication? Wasn't this dude on medication? I'm sorry, I would have just had to leave. I'm like, forget the agreement. I'm going. You're having suicides like that on a weekly basis, according to his roommate? No.
Well, I mean, you know what? I think first of all, I think the first thing that I wrote was "Hello, counselor," because if you remember when we had this conversation
yes!
episodes ago, I'm like, what happened to her? But it was nice to see her again. But what I really liked was the scene where his dad was dropping him off.
Yes. And he's like, "Where's your pillow?"
That really well. Like,
yeah.
And the father did a great job because I think that's exactly what would go through a parent's mind when they were doing this, and I really liked that scene. I think it was done really well. But yeah, no, that crazy house gives me the heebie-jeebies. And what's good about these 2 episodes is, like, so you see, I was like, why are we seeing so much of this crazy house? And then in the next episode, they tell you the history of it. So I really, really like. I mean, kudos to the last 2 episodes of Teen Wolf. I was very impressed with them. Dylan O'Brien, I mean, whatever.
Gosh.
Just killing it.
Yes, he's definitely killing it. And in Echo House, he actually hooks up with Malia. Then she disappears and doesn't even appear in the next episode, so you don't know what the heck she's doing.
Why?
I thought she was going to go. I mean, why? I mean, I thought she was looking for Styles. Like, not Styles. I'm sorry, Scott. Like, when is everybody going to meet up here? That's what I want to know.
Why are her eyes blue?
I think we kind of went over this off air, but like, I think it's because she did kill somebody. Like, you know how some wolves' eyes are blue when they've killed someone.
Like, killed an innocent person. But why did they like? I just don't know why they wanted to focus on it when it faded to black. Like, there's a reason. Like, we should be looking at that, and I'm like, why should we be looking at that? I don't understand. But yeah, no, I guess her sister and her mother were innocent. So I don't know. And I would like to see what happens because, you know, with Peter and whatnot. So I hope they come back to that in the next episode.
Yeah, I hope they do that too. I mean, they're going to have to eventually get back to that. I mean, let's be for real. You can't just drop a bomb like that and just leave it.
So I had the same... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I had the same question that the guy that they were fighting on that truck to get the scroll back from the little finger said, I see your eyes, where is the strength? Where is the strength, Scott? Why can't... He's an alpha. That guy wasn't an alpha. And he needed Aiden and... what's the other one's name? Aiden and darn it. Well, see, the twins. He needed the twins.
Yeah, the twins.
They're not alphas, though.
We both had brain farts.
I don't understand that. I'm like, he's an alpha. He should be able to do this. Where is the strength?
You would think he would have had a little more strength. I mean, he went against Deucalion for crying out loud. Although he, again, had help from Derek with that. Yeah, he needs to improve just a little bit. I kind of mentioned that before. Like, he needs to start winning fights. At least the twins have actually had experience, so it makes more sense for them to be able to defeat him because they've had to fight their way up to become alphas in the first place, especially being lower in the pack ranking order, so to speak. And then they were alphas themselves, so they managed to embrace that for a long time. So it makes sense for them to have been able to defeat that one lone werewolf.
Yeah, I can't. His roommate Oliver, I just have one line about him, and it says Oliver needs to be kicked repeatedly in the balls. Like I just, he's so what he did at the end there, like made me want to just.
No, I was like, oh, Styles is a sidekick, and then he turned psycho. I'm like, really? But that was the Nugitsune, and like Nugitsune managed to get into Styles because he wasn't trying to hurt Malia, and it was just messed up because Styles was just trying to like leave me alone. Just go someplace else. Just leave me alone.
I don't understand how he could see him. Like, why could
Probably because they were connected.
But Oliver?
They're in a crazy house. He probably heard him more than saw him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess maybe, it was just because they were so close to what we find out is his body. That's buried down there, which is like creepy.
Creepy with the sword. And we need to jump into the next episode.
Right.
The Fox and the Wolf. Wow. And I was thinking at the end of Echo House, like Kira still needs to talk to her mom. Well, they finally have this conversation. We finally find out what the heck's going on with this Nugitsune, how it came to be, and how Kira's mom is involved. Well, Kira's mom conjured up the Nugitsune because she was dying. She didn't want to get burned alive. And she wanted the people behind what happened to pay. And I actually don't blame her for that because that was messed up.
Yeah, but, I mean, this is the truth. She put her faith in a trickster spirit, and it played the ultimate trick on her, and it didn't go into her body. It went into her bows.
Yeah, who was a cutie, by the way.
Years. He was, wasn't he? I was
my gosh. I'm like, please do not be like, in like your early 20s, because I'll be like, cradle robber.
Oh yeah, I see. I should have waited until I looked that up. But yeah, I cringed when he got set on fire. I'm like, that's.
That was messed up. That was messed up.
Ooh, that woman was a wolf.
I was not expecting that. I thought she was also like a kitsune. I did not expect her to be a wolf, but then they kept on focusing on the fact about the fox and the wolf not getting along, and they kind of clashed a little bit, but there was a reason why she was clashing with Kira's mom, and she was trying to keep her anger in check so she didn't go ape. Well, she went ape anyway, and she wound up setting her boyfriend on fire, and so, but then she wound up helping her at the end to kill him, which was kind of anticlimactic because that was, you set him on fire in the first place. You're the reason why he's in that position.
Yeah, I just the whole thing was sad. Like the whole
oh my gosh,
the way that they were put into those camps, and then like what happened with the medicine being sold on the black market, and so they were. I mean, it was just it was just a very, very sad story. And I like how she starts telling it, and Kira's like, "We don't want to hear your Casablanca story." And I'm like, she's like, and she said, of course you're 900 years old. I mean, I just found out you were 900 years old. I am never going to trust you again. That is something that you should probably bring up to your kid.
Yeah, just a little bit.
That you're 900 years old, especially if any of that gets passed on, which, I mean, she kind of did say, Kira, you realize you've never gotten sick, you never will get sick.
Yeah.
I would be like, there's a tail behind you.
say hello to Percy, everybody. He's now behind me, and he doesn't even want to.
That was so funny. Yeah. So, I mean, but I'm glad she did go through the story, because I'm like, why are we going through the story? And then I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all this happened. Like, and I usually get irritated when they do, like, back scenes, and they take up a whole episode for that, because I want to know what happens, but this one was so informative that I loved it. I really did. I don't understand kind of what happened with the dad, though, when Styles visited him. Like, I know he put the fly in his mouth. I was like, why was your mouth open?
Well, yeah. But he was trying to get Kira's mom's last tail. That's what he was there for. Remember, the dad had originally put the tails in a book?
Yeah, but wait, was he trying to choke them? Like, he was trying to choke them with a fly? Like,
Well, if you recall, the crazy guy from the earlier episode had flies in his stomach. So I don't
Ew.
know.
No, I
That's
was trying
probably
to
his
block that
way
out.
of and remember at the end of the flashback, Kira's mom had the Nuggetine like in a fly, and she put him in the Nematon. And the Nematon, of course, we know what happened with the Nematon last in season 3A, so they kind of brought him out. And I actually find it interesting that they never really went back to what was happening with Scott and what was happening with Allison as far as losing their mind. It kind of became focused a lot more on Styles. I just thought that was interesting. It's kind of like, are we ever even really going to get back into that? Because we started getting into Allison and her dealing with her aunt's death, so to speak, in the fact that she's starting to see her again. And they kind of like pushed that aside. And then Scott's trying to deal with being an alpha and learning how to be an alpha. They kind of pushed that aside, and now we're dealing with Styles and the Nuggetine. It kind of became focused on the Nuggetine and Kira and how all that's connected.
Right.
Maybe they'll get back to that. I don't know. I just thought they kind of dropped the ball.
I feel like they I think you're right. I feel like they kind of just randomly put stuff in. I mean, obviously Scott hasn't come to terms with himself because he was going to get beat by somebody who wasn't even alpha. So he hasn't kind of embraced that whole part of him. And so we still see him struggle with that. Allison kind of had a breakdown in this episode.
Well, she did have a breakdown. I mean, a lot of stuff's going on, and we're supposed to lose a main cast member, and we don't know who it is. And some people are saying it's Allison. Some people are saying it's Sheriff Stilinski because of what's going on with him. We just don't know. I would hate to lose anybody because it would just really suck. And I'm going to cry.
I think it's going to be the mother. I don't think it's going to be a main cast member. I think it's going to be like the mom, Kira's mom or something. Like
I don't know. I think they were kind of hinting it's going to be a main cast member, someone that has been on since the beginning.
They always do that. They always do that, and it's always like, yes, it's a main cast member to this season, but it's not really a main cast member. But I don't know. Like,
we'll see.
They could surprise us. Maybe it's going to be Isaac because. Yeah.
He was on there since the second season?
Everybody knows how I feel about Isaac.
He's been absent because he's still recovering from his being electrocuted a few episodes ago.
And he's not
Poor
healed.
thing. He just gets a bad break like almost every time. Poor thing.
It was interesting though. The mother took like 4 hours to tell her story because the sun was like going down by the time she was done. It's true.
You're absolutely right. I mean, and maybe it just depends on the time of day. I think it was probably already afternoon when they started, the story. I don't know. Can we give her a little bit of credit? I mean, it took her like an hour our time, so maybe it was just late afternoon.
I like where this ended. I want to know what happened. So Styles is weird. Styles is creepy. Like he's playing creepy well. Like where he sits there and looks up at the camera and waves.
Oh
like
my
this.
gosh,
I'm
that
like,
was
creepy.
Super creepy. I'm like, Nuggetine, darn you! I want Styles back. You saw a glimpse of him in Echo House. He was just a little bit normal. He was awkward and just adorable. Now he's evil and creepy. Although, I mean, he's doing an excellent job acting it, but at the same time, I'm like, I miss Styles. I miss the cool Styles.
So let's just finish up with I don't know what we want from this next episode. I want
Styles back.
That's not gonna happen. So aim lower.
Aim lower. Maybe we'll see Isaac next episode. I don't know, because there was just a mini clip of him and Allison was like in the bed. He was like standing up looking at the mirror and he was looking kind of gaunt. Maybe that was again being, electrocuted. Maybe that'll do something to you, feature wise. But he was just staring at the mirror and he was looking kind of weird. So I don't know what's gonna happen with that. And just Styles being creepy and trying to play the trickster and causing chaos again. telling Arjun to shoot him, and his dad's like, don't shoot him, and just goading everybody. And Arjun said they're trying to outfox the fox, and they need to do a little bit better job of that.
I want to know.
They need to communicate. They need to communicate.
Okay. So I guess that's what you want to see, and I want to see this Coyote and Peter.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. And I don't know if it's going to be this next episode because it looks like they're leading up to a big fight or something like that. So, but I do want to see that here in the next coming up. There's only like what, 2 more?
Yeah, I think there's 2 more.
So we're gonna know all in 2 weeks, and maybe we'll do like a little wrap-up show or something.
Yeah, I have to get Antonio back because he's like so excited about this season.
Yeah, we'll do that for our wrap-up show. But all right, guys, that was our kind of summary of The Following and Teen Wolf, the last 2 episodes. As always, you can find us on Twitter. I'm at Anime23 or at The Nerd Element. We both are. And Natasha?
At Willcat12, and Scandal, Lord Have Mercy, is coming on tomorrow. And woo, good episode of Arrow tonight.
Yeah, right. And Natasha live tweets a lot of the shows, so
yes.
Look for that. Tweet her back, ask her questions. We can answer them in these little vlogs here for you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we give shout outs to different, comments,
Okay. All right, guys. We will see you next time on TV.